It is my third time taking up Film 102, History of Philippine Cinema, at the UP Film Institute this semester. And as with many classes in film school, in-class and take-home viewings come with an inevitable observation that we have to make do most of the time with low-quality copies of canonical works throughout the history of Philippine cinema. That is, if the film has been fortunate enough to be able to see the digital light of day. A quick survey of Philippine cinema would tell us that there are only five surviving works from the pre-World War II period and one from the era of the Japanese occupation of the Philippines. Afterwards, there have been countless films lost due to unfortunate events like studio fires or even due to mishandling and disregard for archives. While the country's government does have initiatives for archiving works through the Film Archives of the Philippines, many old works are kept in private collections of individuals and corporations. At the development and prevalence of internet technology and culture today, many surviving works have been uploaded to YouTube, which is one of the most popular and widely used video streaming sites online. On YouTube, the cinematic works depart from their original forms. They are low-quality digital conversions from older video transfers, segmented each into approximately 15-minute parts. The audio is overpowered by hisses and pops, and is inaudible sometimes due to high bass levels. Of course, this would not be the case for a film's original theatrical release. But where else do we find the real thing? This situation brings to mind Hito Steyer's influential essay, In Defense of the Poor Image, where she says, a poor image is a copy in motion. It is never fixed in a certain state. Its low quality and substandard resolution is an aftermath of compression, reproduction, ripping, remixing, and distribution into various channels. Sterile further writes, the poor image has been uploaded, downloaded, shared, reformatted, and re-edited. It transforms quality into accessibility, exhibition value into cult value, films into clips, contemplation into distraction. The image is liberated from the vaults of cinemas and archives and thrust into digital uncertainty at the expense of its own substance. The copies of Filipino movies found online, especially the older classics on YouTube, surrender themselves to the definition. These uploaded copies of works also echo the violent history of Philippine cinema. This showcase makes public works which have been, to borrow from Steyr, violently dislocated, transferred, and displaced, circulated within the vicious cycles of audiovisual capitalism. The circulation of early films in the Philippines on the internet is not without cost. There is loss in the process, made literal by the actual degradation of the digital transfer from the celluloid print to early analog video formats. Then, when these analog video copies are forcibly recaptured into digital formats for reasons of longevity and playability. Once digital, these MPEG and AVI files are vulnerable to various transfers, compressions, format conversions, and re-edits, taking farther away from the original, but closer to wide public access through various copies, uploads, downloads, and streaming options. As a film student in the Philippines, I have seen many classics of Philippine cinema only as poor images. It is in that they are accessible to me and to a lot of other students and professionals as well. Maybe because they are the only versions left of themselves. For most of the films, there may be no more available print to scan at higher resolutions, unlike what many popular works of esteemed directors are enjoying now through private restoration efforts such as the ABS-CBN Sagip Pelikula. If there might be scans, there are not a lot of publicized efforts to hastily restore works that are not from private collections or have no acclaimed auteur attached to the work. Uploading a classic work to YouTube is a do-it-yourself effort to make the Philippine Film Archive available for the public. Anonymous enthusiasts on YouTube such as Gobits have been uploading some of the surviving works from the pre-war era since 2011. The Gobit's upload's origin is unmistakable, as with other uploaders, since the videos are embedded with watermarks or channel logos. For Gobits, it is a bright yellow capital letter G. From those copies on, it is going to carry the same low resolution at maximum and that distinct logo. The Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. have also uploaded several pieces of works shot in the Philippines during the time of the American occupation. Actualities shot by Edison and Ackerman are uploaded in their full duration on YouTube, but with the logo of the Library of Congress heading and tailing the clip. This testifies again to the fact that these collections important to the formation of what we call Philippine cinema are owned by foreign institutions. What we get is what they give us. Before ABS-CBN's restoration of Himala in 2012, one of the only publicly available copies on the internet is a low-resolution copy with embedded English subtitles at the bottom and Japanese subtitles on the right of the frame. Up until before the restoration, this was available on YouTube for free. Now only excerpts derived from it appear on the site. The restored version, though, appears on various Googleable sites catering to the Philippine cinema audience, available for free download and streaming online, alongside a wide variety of works, whether classic or contemporary. Some of the more popular contemporary films, like Gerald Tarog's General Luna, are also available for download on torrent clients. Today, the ABS-CBN Film Restoration Program, dubbed Sagip Pelikula, focuses on popular works in their archive. As one of the country's biggest media corporations, the film's second reincarnations as restored works serve two purposes. It is a given that these are cultural artifacts that have to be promulgated and revived for younger generations. But at the same time, it also centralizes the earnings to the corporation, the film's owners. Now, they have the right to tag and take down pirated copies uploaded on the internet because the rights to the film, the restored version especially, are under their control. Now, the high-resolution restoration screened in cinemas and marketed on original DVDs further displays the poor images into oblivion and legitimize high-resolution images as an arm of the neoliberal privatized production of media. The reincarnated film serves the company as a means for profit. This is not to undermine the important efforts to uphold our cinema's history and legacy, but as piracy still proliferates on social media sites, video streaming and downloading platforms, and torrent clients, the poor image and copies on motion will still proliferate in Philippine cinema, heavily compressed and traveling quickly, as Hito Steyerl would describe. The Optical Media Board, or the OMB, still guards against the operation of film pirates and distribution of pirated material on DVDs, safeguarding the upward flow of profits of corporations. But we all know that it is now hard to contain the poor copy of a film once it is uploaded onto various channels on the web. Philippine cinema's poor images cannot be simply contained by running steamrollers over 14-in-1 DVDs. They become everyone's once they appear online. Almost as soon as films are released in theaters, they may appear unwittingly on someone's Facebook feed, as experienced by films such as Kita Kita in 2017, and even festival exclusives such as Too Cool to Be Forgotten, made in 2016. Independent festivals with limited runs have also had their share of leaked films. Poor images cater to the communities deprived of the theatrical cinematic experience due to economic and geographical factors. That is, expensive cinema ticket prices and Manila-centric releases. While cinema is considered by most practitioners and educators to be art and business, should the deprived be at fault for accessing poor copies when the original is not at all accessible nor existent to their circles? Philippine classic cinema uploaded on the internet reinstates its value in this way. Because there are no publicly accessible copies of the films in many public libraries, And while film archives do not assert their presence and availability to the public, whatever poor image that flows around on the internet becomes the only copy, in the sense that they are the only ones the viewers might ever get their hands on. The original is, in this case, no longer significant and important because it is essentially non existent. The poor image becomes a prized possession, and seeing it a scarce experience due to the uncertainty of the copy. If one does not convert it and keep his own copy, which will be a derivative of the already poor copy, the time that it will stay available online is unsure, depending on the copyright claims, website errors, or takedown from the uploader himself. In her essay, Steyerl cites Ziga Vertov's concept of a visual bond, or the images that unite the workers of the world to the essence of the poor image. Poor images are popular images that create a centralized visual language for the people, and in the end become a common ground for information, entertainment, and organization. At this point in time, the images from films found on the internet live afterlives as memes or incomplete clips, and all who are able to see them and share them attest to the potential of a poor image to be common ground for communication. The low bitrate and poor resolution pixelate the images. They blur out the faces and create indistinguishable settings. The scratches and grain on celluloid no longer becomes the characteristic of these works. Rather, the pixels become the proof of their survival. Pixels that interested viewers might find themselves deciphering in order to make sense of what remains of an image. Of course, currently, the developments of technology have already allowed high resolution videos to be compressed while still retaining quality and resolution. But as long as these copies, far removed from their original sources and viewed from a variety of available devices and platforms, still proliferate online and are shared by potential viewers, downloaders, and digital looters, there will always surface the power of the poor image in making Philippine cinema accessible to different audiences. The circulation of poor images of works in Philippine cinema testifies to the inaccessibility of films, whether to students, educators, or average citizens, the lack of free audiovisual libraries, and the highly privatized media landscape hinder accessibility to whatever works are surviving. The proliferation of DIY archives uploaded online to stream and download may be a way to append for the lack of a national archive and state-sponsored film exhibition and distribution channels. We look instead to available streaming links, download portals, or the nearest cinephile with an external hard drive film collection. The poor image today stresses its revolutionary potential in changing the landscape of media production and distribution, and its ability to cultivate circles of film enthusiasts that make private film properties accessible in a search for the cinema that they wish to see, the cinema that they wish everyone would be able to see.